Right now, Airbus is delivering twice as many planes as Boeing. In 2023, Airbus delivered 735 aircraft. Boeing delivered 528. That gap didn't exist 5 years ago. And here's what makes it strange. Boeing knew this was coming. Their own engineers warned them. Their own data showed them exactly where this was heading. Nobody changed course, not when the orders started shifting. Not when the airlines started calling Airbus instead. Not when their most loyal customers, airlines that had flown Boeing exclusively for decades, quietly signed contracts with the competition. The question isn't why Airbus is winning. The question is why nobody inside Boeing tried to stop it. To understand how this happened, you have to go back to 2010. Not because that's when things went wrong. Because that's the last year everything was still fine. In 2010, Boeing and Airbus were splitting the commercial aviation market almost evenly. Boeing had the 737. Airbus had the A320. Both were selling thousands of aircraft. Both were profitable. Both were genuinely competitive. If you worked at Boeing in 2010, you felt untouchable. Your company had invented the jet age. You built the 747. Your aircraft were flying on every major route, on every continent, carrying hundreds of millions of passengers every single year. 3 out of every 5 commercial flights on Earth were operated on a Boeing aircraft. Airbus was competition. But they weren't winning. Then American Airlines made a phone call, not to Boeing, to Airbus. And when that call ended, the most important airline contract in a decade had just been signed by Boeing's biggest customer, with Boeing's biggest competitor. Boeing found out from the press release. Here is what American Airlines actually ordered: .460 aircraft from Airbus in one single deal, not a test order, not a trial. 460 planes worth over $45 billion, going to the company that had been trying to take Boeing's market for 30 years, and Boeing had nothing to compete with. The Airbus A320neo was new. Fresh engines. 15% better fuel efficiency than anything Boeing was currently offering. Airlines could see the math instantly. On a single aircraft, over a 20-year lifespan, that efficiency gap translates to roughly $5 million in saved fuel costs per plane. Multiply that across a fleet of 100 aircraft, and you are looking at $500 million sitting on the table. Airlines don't leave $500 million on the table. So Boeing had a choice. Build a brand new aircraft, clean sheet, new design, new engines, new everything. The right answer. The answer their engineers wanted. It would take 10 years, cost $15 billion. And Airbus would own the market while Boeing was still drawing blueprints. So they made a different choice. They took the 737, a design that first flew in 1967. The same basic airframe that had been flying passengers since the Beatles were still together. And they decided to update it. Newer engines, new software, new interior. Same bones from half a century ago. They called it the 737 MAX. And on paper, it worked. Development cost a fraction of a clean sheet aircraft. Time to market was faster. Airlines got familiar training for their pilots. Boeing kept the orders coming. But here is what nobody said out loud in that boardroom. The new engines were bigger than the old airframe was designed to handle. To fit them, engineers had to move the engine position forward and up, which changed how the aircraft flew, which meant they needed software to compensate, software that pilots didn't know existed. Airbus watched Boeing make that decision, and they didn't celebrate. They got what to work. The A320neo entered service in January 2016. New engines, new winglets, same proven airframe, but now burning 15 to 20% less fuel than the previous generation. Airbus had taken their strongest product and made it significantly better at exactly the moment Boeing was scrambling to catch up. Airlines didn't wait to see how the 737 MAX would turn out. Indigo ordered 500 A320neos. In one deal, AirAsia ordered 576, the largest aircraft order in aviation history at that time. And then came the one that stung the most: Ryanair. For 30 years, Ryanair had been a Boeing-only airline. Every single aircraft in their fleet, Boeing. Every pilot trained on Boeing. Every maintenance contract written around Boeing. Michael O'Leary had built one of the most profitable airlines on Earth exclusively around one manufacturer. In 2014, Ryanair opened formal talks with Airbus for the first time in their history. They didn't switch. But the fact that they were talking, that was the signal. When your most loyal customer starts returning your competitors' calls, you are no longer competing on product. You are competing on damage control. By 2017, Airbus had over 6,000 orders for the A320neo family. Boeing had around 4,500 for the 737 MAX. The gap was real. It was documented. It was sitting in every quarterly report Boeing published, and inside the company, nobody changed the plan. So here is the real question. Boeing had the data, every canceled order, every airline switching, every Ryanair meeting with Airbus. All of it documented, all of it visible, all of it sitting in front of the people running the company. So why did nobody stop it? One decision, 1997. Boeing merged with McDonnell Douglas, and the engineers who had run Boeing for decades were replaced by finance executives who had one priority: not safety, not engineering, not the 10-year decisions that build great aircraft, stock price. Boeing's new leadership said it openly. Their job was to run Boeing not an engineering firm. And businesses don't make 10-year decisions. They make next quarter decisions. The 737 MAX was a next quarter decision. And when Boeing's own engineers filed internal safety concerns about the MAX's MCASS system, the software that would automatically push the nose of the aircraft down without alerting the pilot, those reports went up the chain. The managers received them, reviewed them, and approved the aircraft anyway. October 29, 2018, Lion Air Flight 621. 12 minutes after takeoff, the aircraft disappeared into the Java Sea. 189 people, fathers, mothers, children going home. The MCS system had activated. The pilots fought it. They didn't know what they were fighting because the manual never mentioned it existed. They lost. 5 months later, March 10, 2019, Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302. The same aircraft, the same system, the same outcome, 157 more people who never arrived, 346 total. Boeing knew the system had problems before either aircraft left the ground. The engineers had said so, in writing, with their names on it. What changed after 346 people died? Boeing CEO got a $62 million exit package. The engineers are still stating to be heard. That was 2019. Boeing grounded the entire 737 MAX fleet worldwide. 387 aircraft pulled from service overnight. Airlines scrambling to rebook passengers. Routes canceled. Schedules destroyed. The grounding lasted 20 months. During those 20 months, Airbus kept delivering, kept signing contracts, kept growing. Boeing lost $20 billion directly from the MAX crisis alone. Legal settlements, compensation payments, production shutdowns, $20 billion gone before they even started fixing the aircraft. And then COVID hit. Airlines stopped flying. Orders were canceled. Boeing's factories went quiet. Then in January 2024, a door plug blew out of a 737 MAX mid-flight. Alaska Airlines Flight 1282. The 177 passengers, 16,000 feet in the air, nobody died. But the image of a hole in the side of a Boeing aircraft, broadcast on every news channel on the planet, said everything that quarterly reports couldn't. Today, Airbus holds 8,700 aircraft on order. Boeing holds 5,600. Boeing stock dropped nearly 32% in 2024 alone. The company that built 747, that invented the jet age, that once controlled over 60% of the commercial aviation market, is now fighting to deliver the planes it already sold. So here is what actually happened. Boeing didn't lose to Airbus because Airbus built a better plane. The A320neo and the 737 MAX are genuinely close in performance. Same passengers capacity, similar range, comparable fuel efficiency. Boeing lost because of a decision made in a boardroom in 2011, and then a culture that had spent 15 years replacing engineers with finance executives had no mechanism left to undo it. The engineers knew. The data was there. The window to build a clean sheet aircraft came and went, while everyone was watching the stock price. And the strangest part? The executives who made those decisions collected their bonuses and retired. The engineers who filed the warnings are still there. The families of 346 people are still waiting for someone to be held accountable. Boeing is still the second largest aerospace company on Earth. Still building aircraft, still taking orders. Some companies are too big to fail, but nobody said anything about being too big to fall. Before you go, if you just watched this entire video, you already know more about what actually broke Boeing than most people who work in the industry. One thing before you leave. Drop one word in the comments. Just one. Fixable. If you think Boeing can come back, finished. If you think the damage is already done, I read every single one. And next week, I'm going to show you the one internal document that proves Boeing's own leadership knew exactly what was coming 5 years before the first crash. If you want that video the moment it drops, subscribe. Takes 2 seconds, and you won't have to wonder later why the algorithm didn't show it to you.